Good day, everybody. How many people out there know what this is that I just was playing? Well, it's a pretty good percentage. I'd say about 30% of the room. For the rest of you, it's a didgeridoo. This comes from Aboriginal Australian culture. This one here is actually made out of bamboo, so it's actually not the real deal. The real deal is made out of a eucalyptus tree that has been eaten out by termites. A good example of how the animals and human can collaborate to make music. I wanted to start with that sound because it's a sound that had a big influence on my own life. It took me on what I call my musical mystery tour around the world. I've had the very good fortune to meet up close and personal a lot of musicians and people in the world and live with them in their houses and play music with them, explore different instruments and sounds. One of the things that has happened with music in this world is that in our world, we tend to think of the music business. Now, I happen to have a record label, so I guess I'm in the music business, but I try to think of myself as being in the inspiration business. And I like to bring artists on the label who are going to go around the world and inspire other people with what they're doing, because they're singing or they're playing their music from their heart and spreading good vibrations. So, as you heard, this is a very sort of intense vibrational instrument. Basically, all I was doing was flapping my lips inside, and this is kind of, I call it nature's synthesizer, because it took what I did and it magnified it and it swirled it down the end of the tube here, and it made that kind of magical sound that sounds almost electronic. So I'm going to play you some other instruments. This is also in Aboriginal culture. This instrument, and I don't use it that way because if I did, I think something bad would happen to me. But they use it for spiritual reasons, and they sing certain words down inside of the tube, and that is how they pray, basically. They pray through this instrument to influence the world. I don't want to imitate their culture because it wouldn't be respectful, and it takes a long time to be initiated in that culture, but the concept of music as a prayer or as a spiritual communication of what your inner world is with the outer world. See, I have an inner world. I didn't know much about it until I was about 40. I finally started to realize that I was mesmerized by the outside world and always looking at it and comparing myself and thinking that that was what was real. And really what goes on inside of us, as this previous presentation was saying, that's what's real. Everything that we witness in the world, I'm witnessing all these people in the room, and you're witnessing me, but you're witnessing me through your own eyes, ears, and other senses that you're feeling. And this is the realization that we have this incredible interior life. When we're little kids, we're not thinking that way. We're just going around the world. We have it, but we're not thinking of it because it's not for little children to have to think about that. They're perfectly happy and perfectly getting going without, as long as nobody stops them or blocks them from experiencing themselves, they'll grow up, because I think the human being is naturally happy. We come into the world, we have our interests. It's just when our interests are blocked or we're told we're not right, we're told we're wrong, and then we learn to internalize these things. So for me, happiness is really just the absence of unhappiness, or the absence of things that are specifically suppressing our natural tendencies. So now that I've said that, I would love for everybody here to just for a moment think about, just not think necessarily, but go say, put your concentration right about at the center of your solar plexus and just experience how you're feeling right now. And I'm going to ask you a question after you listen to this. And listen to this not only with your ears, but with your whole body. Raise your hand if you feel any different now than before the bell rang. Right. Because the process of listening allows us, listening to tones, it does allow us to center in and listen to ourselves and get more aligned. So that was a Tibetan singing bell, which I actually picked up from a friend in San Francisco. I actually went out back Australia and had the opportunity to visit with Aboriginal Australians and experience their culture. I was sent, interestingly, on this trip around the world by a guy who specifically in a book that I read from him, his name was Robert Baker, had redefined inalienable right, the happiness of pursuit, which I realized when I was asked to speak here that rethinking of that, because pursuing happiness is not, you can do it, but you won't get there. It's, as they were saying before, you have to be happy inside and then start pursuing. But it's really fun to go after your dream. It's fun to go after whatever goal you're doing, as long as you don't feel like you have to get there in order to be happy. You need to be happy where you start. The Tibetan bell that I just was playing for you, that has 17 metals inside of it. And that's why it rings in all of those different types of reverberations. And the reason that the monks put together something with 17 different types of metals is that each metal vibrates at a different frequency. And all of those frequencies affect our body in a certain way. So we are basically, as physics has shown us, is that matter is all a bunch of vibrating molecules. It's all vibrational energy. So how we affect our vibrations and how we share it is it's actually, even though we can't see it, we absolutely can feel it. We know when somebody walks in a room in their really bad mood, we feel that. And when they walk in a good mood, we feel that. And when I've found that music is one of the great ways to get an entire room aligned and feeling amazing and feeling at one with each other, because we do have the same energy that we're circulating back and forth. I'm circulating energy to you and it comes back to me. So thank you very much. So after I was living in New York, and I wasn't actually a happy camper, truthfully, and I had this opportunity to travel to Japan, and then Bali, and then Australia, and then that turned into a trip to Outback Australia and a complete change of my life. I was at that time working in the theater, and I now run a record company, and in between I recorded an album, and I realized that my true dream had always been to be a musician, and I actually followed it. And what's happened since then has just been one amazing event after the other. And now I have a jazz record label in Harlem. Go figure. I never in a million years would have believed that would happen. But I think the reason for it was tuning into all of these instruments and realizing how much I love them. This instrument here is called a kalimba, and sometimes people call them an African walkman, and because they walk through the jungle, they can forget time and go out into the world. I learned how to play this from a fellow who was from Africa. He was a wonderful guitarist by the name of Samba Ngo, and he told me that when he was a little boy in Africa, in Congo, he used to play this instrument inside of a big, giant oil drum because he loved the sound, because it had like a reverb, an echo on it. And then he would fall asleep, and his mom would sometimes come and take him and bring him home. And when I heard that story, and I started to learn how to play this instrument, and it took me a long time to learn how to play this automatically like I'm doing right now. This song emerged out of my imagination and out of my sense of love for the African people that I was meeting at the time. Near a small, small village in the depths of the jungle, in the oldest of lands, a small dark boy plays a kalimba in the belly of a giant oil can. He toys with rhythm though the sun is down, no evening chill to stop his game. It's hot, wet summer and the air is drowned with the smell of the jungle rain. On the sound of metal against thumbs, against wood, against air, against rust, against time, the boy is swirled to a mystic world where past and future entwine. To the dance of his hands, the music grows into a tree of ancient root. And bathed in the cool, cool shade of its leaves, he tastes its sweet, sweet fruit. He is safe from the stare of the African sun, safe from leopards and snakes, safe from madmen and sickness and guns, safe from the poison of hate. Ah, ma banza mani, ah, ma banza. In that same small village in the depths of the jungle, in the oldest of lands, a tall, dark woman reaps by a fire, wringing her dry, brown hands. Her boy is missing, and the sun is long down, and the fires are growing dim. She has searched every thatch in that small, small town and found not a sign of him. Now one girl she asked said she'd seen the boy last, swinging from the vines of a tree. But another boy swore that he'd seen the boy running east towards the jungle stream. Which way to go? The moon sinks low, fears invade her mind. She puts a palm to her chest and calms her breath to listen and pray for a sign. She prays to the old ones, the wind and the sky. Please send a clue in my search. And then she catches her breath when a wind from the west brings a faint sound like bells in a church. Into the jungle she tracks the boy's song, a lioness close on the scent of her pride. And she runs till she comes upon a rusted oil drum that echoes a tiny musician inside. He is safe from the stare of the African sun, safe from leopards and snakes, safe from madmen and sickness and guns, safe from the poison of hate. Mabanza mani, mabanza, mabanza. As the last thin wisps of the full moon slip between the world and the sky in the west, the boy falls asleep and the tall woman rises to cradle him close to her breast. As she carries him home, the tall trees groan neath the weight of the midnight breeze. And kissing her boy on his soft sleeping lips, she prays he will always be safe from the stare of the African sun, safe from leopards and snakes, safe from madmen and sickness and guns, safe from the poison of hate. They call music the universal language. And it really is, because you really can go, and I've had the good fortune to go, you can travel all over the world, and people connect with you through this medium. This is one of the very first songs that I wrote when I got back to singing, thinking that I would actually follow my musical career. I was around 30. It's kind of a strange song. It's called Cradles in the Kitchen, Soup's on Fire. And I was going to sing the whole song, but I think I don't have time, so what I'm going to do is just work on the chorus with you guys, because I would like to have everybody here on the left-hand side. I want you to sing one part, and it's going to go, old thoughts running through my brain, twisted tracks on a runaway train. Old thoughts running through my brain, twisted tracks on a runaway train. Old thoughts running through my brain, twisted tracks on a runaway train. The middle section is going to go, running, 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 running. You got an easy one, right? Running, 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 running. Over here on the right, run, runaway train. Run, run, runaway train. Over here, run, run, runaway train. Running, 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 running. Old thoughts running through my brain, twisted tracks on a runaway train. Add mine. Cradles in the kitchen, soup's on fire. Cradles in the kitchen, soup's on fire. Oh, kitchen, soup's on fire. Cradles in the kitchen, soup's on fire. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.